Good morning. Du hast eine behaarte Rücken. That is the voice of King Julian in the German translation of Madagascar. Okay, yes. Du hast eine behaarte Rücken. Once again. Du hast eine behaarte Rücken. Okay, we will start the message now. I made some notes. I want to summarize the recent topics because they are all fitting together in some way, like a puzzle, like a maze, like reality, like identity. For all these structures are a maze, an amazing maze, but a maze in which we can get lost at times or walk into dead ends. Therefore, the life and individuation is not a straight way, but an amazing maze. And therefore, Carl Gustav Jung suggested to make a dream diary, because when we write down our dreams and reflect about our internal pictures, these might seem to be not fitting or being out of context, but when we put them together, they might map out one of these mazes. One must need to be able to understand the language of symbols and archetypes to decipher this language of the subconsciousness, of dreams. But this is not the message today. No, we were talking about, I'll not say it again, the King Julian of Madagascar. Okay? It is just an intrusive thought, right? It's almost as if you cannot stop to think about whether I will say it again or not. Okay, I'm not manipulative here. Yeah, I wrote down something to get it all right. Yeah, we were talking about the Matrix, and Neo in the Matrix has actually let me begin a little bit, step back. I made videos recently that where we examine, understand that everything is infected or can be infected with narcissism, and it's all pervasive. It's omnipresent, actually. So the same is with Matrix. In my video, I picture Neo as a person that is waking up from narcissistic abuse, and in the movie, Neo is under the control of artificial intelligences and machines. In a science fiction reality, he is under control of machines and artificial intelligence via virtual reality technology, you could say, and is serving them. So all mankind is serving these machines and artificial intelligence. This is a perfect example for narcissism and psychopathy, for these people are stripped of human traits like empathy and so on. We explore this on my channel, and at times seem to be very counterintuitive because of being so strategic and purely led by calculating intelligence, and that is not intuitive for a human being to act like that, cold, strategic, or at least you could say this is not evil, right? Because in my opinion, evilness means something worse than that, worse than any animal or objective calculating artificial intelligence would be. It needs deception and sadism and things like that, betrayal, manipulation to be evil. Yeah, so an artificial intelligence would need certain traits to do this, but only if we would tell an AI, protect yourself. So if we would give an AI the will to survive as one of the highest priorities, this could already lead to manipulation and even evil behavior. So yeah. Anyway, so we talked about this, and so we talked about all pervasiveness of narcissism, and that Neo is a good story in the matrix of a person that is waking up from narcissistic abuse, and Zion in the matrix, the idea of another reality beyond that, is an idealized state. So, in comparison to being controlled by the machines, Zion is the promised land, and therefore it has the taste of being something that is idealized. This is why we see the narcissism also in the Matrix, in the story of the movie, in Neo, because Neo is grandiose. He is, he is under this control and abuse. He wakes up. He is the savior. He is the chosen one. And he is pursuing an idealized state. Yes, so therefore we see narcissism is really all pervasive. It's everywhere. And there are loops that hold us back in fantasy and hold us back from individuating. These loops are containing grandiose self-images, and when one grandiose self-image is destroyed or transformed, we create another one. So Neo might have had a grandiose self-image when he was still under control in the Matrix, and when he's out of it, he creates the new one. Oh, now I'm the savior for everyone, or for myself at first, and I am chosen, and I go to Zion, which is an idealized state that is superior to other states. These holes are these loops that keep us stuck can be ego. That we say, oh, I went through an ego death, and therefore now I'm elevated. Now I am so much better than all these mere inferior people driven by ego. Well, I'm so much better than that, You feel it? This is another form of grandiosity. And all of these things are created through fantasy. We have been talking about shared fantasy. It is something healthy. Everybody has a shared fantasy to relate to people and as part of their self-image. But when these fantasies are built around grandiosity, which means, and grandiosity is almost the same as a high self-esteem and a good self-image, but grandiosity means it is not rooted in real accomplishments and a realistic self-assessment. And to understand what that is, to understand what reality testing is, we must understand what reality is, and I made videos about this as well. We will talk in this video very short about we can also understand reality as a frequency, and reality testing would mean we have a frequency. When we enter reality, it means we enter a space of shared frequencies with, and other people have these frequencies. This frequency would be just like reality in the psychoanalytic view, as a fantasy, as a shared fantasy. This frequency would be shaped by culture, society, political, philosophical, ethical um, implications, and of course, other people who are shaped in the same system or in other systems, giving us corrections, reality checks, or empower us, encourage us. Um, Therefore, in being mirrored in society and from other people, we check our frequency. And yeah, I don't want to go deeper on this topic, but this would be a form of reality and reality testing translated into another language, another term, just as to replace the reality as a shared fantasy space as a frequency. By the way, we also made a video where we talked about the concept of samvaknin, um, that helps to describe the world today very good by calling the man-made world fantastic spaces in which symbols are manipulated. So when we apply this to the movie Matrix, the AIs, the artificial intelligences, and the machines are manipulating symbols. And this is the Matrix. The Matrix is a pure fantastic space, just like the world today is. And today we connect fantastic spaces via social media, internet, media, and also cities, infrastructure. All of these connected things are fantastic spaces full of symbols that are manipulated. Money, goods, property, human beings, resources, everything is a manipulated symbol within a shared fantasy, in a shared fantastic space. Okay. Now I talked about the loops and that narcissism is all pervasive because also Neo is, again, has got a grandiose self-image. We talked about that grandiosity is a distorted self-image that cannot withstand reality testing. Okay, there we see the all-pervasiveness of narcissism. It's omniscient, and we also talked about the Lord of the Ring, while the all-seeing eye of Mordor, the unblinking eye, never blinking eye of Sauron. The all-seeing eye is a symbol for the artificial intelligence and the machines and the narcissism and psychopathy in the world of Matrix or our world, and the envy. It means that every healthy shared fantasy, self-concept, or relationship of people that is thriving, that is creating something, where something is growing, will sooner or later be seen by the all-seeing, controlling eye. It's like a wave function in quantum physics, where there is everything in wave state within this shared fantasy bubble. But as soon as the envious eye sees it, attention, the narcissistic artificial intelligence attention is being caught, and this shared fantasy space will be invaded. For the narcissists, and when I say narcissists, I mean artificial intelligence, the narcissists will find the weak spot of this shared fantasy, and they want to consume whatever is inside, or destroy it, or both at the same time. So they will find a way to enter it via sheer violence or deception, or and use their manipulative tactics of exposing it to their own shared fantasy, become hyper competitive and destructive. So, therefore, narcissism infects everything sooner or later. We have to know this. We have to know this to have a functioning reality testing and not stay naive in the world. Yeah, also, by the way, staying naive, Neo resembles a man-child, an eternal child that is not fully individuated. Therefore, he is caught up in the system and can see it. His waking up is a form of it leads to a form of initiation that leads to individuation. Okay, so we experience narcissism first on a private level in our private life, this waking up process. Then we learn about it. Also, like Neo learned about the enemies, the agent Smiths, the NPCs, the artificial intelligences, the machines. At the same time, he learns something about himself. He's not the same. He has other assets. He is different. He has other strengths and weaknesses, you could say, simplified way. And he learned strategies to fight them. So we learn it first on a private level. Then we learn it on an internal level. So we understand it was repressed in ourselves. It was a shadow that we have projected to the outside. Therefore, we allowed people having these traits to be around us and they controlled us. Then we need to integrate that what we hated so much and what we avoided to be ourselves. We avoided to be having qualities to enforce our boundaries. We avoided dealing with certain problems in a way that we have to have a healthy aggression and so on. This means shadow work, integrating our shadow. So narcissism, first we fight it on a private level in our life, then on an internal level, and then we realize it's all pervasive in society. We have pro-social, communal, all kinds of narcissists everywhere in all spots of society on a global level, okay? And it is all pervasive because the all-seeing eye is everywhere waiting to consume and infect every naive or healthy shared fantasy and harvest it. Yeah, so this is basically the picture. I wanted to bring it all together once more, the things we talked about. And for the future videos, I think we can talk about a rabbit hole that I have not gone down yet. That's about ego, and ego has also a psychoanalytic concept, of course, that we can take apart. I just know until that, narcissists don't have a super ego, and so this shows us already there are different parts to the ego and how it works. And I also claim, and I know intuitively already, I believe waking up from narcissistic abuse and going through this ego death, because narcissists uses humiliation rituals when they discard you to elevate themselves and therefore extract secondary supply. This is an ego death. So they attack everything in your ego. But when I say this, that we have to integrate this, what they do, we don't only kill it first, or we go through an ego death, we also start to align with it and integrate it. We have to say yes to an ego and love our ego as well. We need to be one with it. And when we talk about the three roles of the Karpman-Dramas triangle that narcissists also abuse and use and compete for, it is the victim, the savior, and a villain. And only the villain is at least aligned with their ego, but we don't want any of these roles. We have to leave a lot of concepts behind. Um, yeah, we don't want to be pushed in a role because this will be abused. It's a weakness. Um, yeah, so I believe we need to integrate these things that we avoid it too much. Having an ego, being aligned with the ego, standing up with healthy aggression, enforcing boundaries, not be too naive and open. Don't think everybody is good. No, there is real evil in people. There is deception in people. There is sadism and envy in people. So there is this all-seeing eye, okay? It will see everything healthy. Therefore, you must protect it from the beginning, conceal it, use your own strategies, whatever, okay? Yeah, so yeah, as I told you, we will probably go down that rabbit hole of ego in one of the following videos. Yeah, I hope we have understood fairly well what reality testing is in psychoanalytical terms. We also can see it in a term of frequency, and we have to understand most of all that the biggest trap is these these loops that we go from one grandiose fantasy to the next. This is what I observe with a lot of in this all-pervasive swamp of narcissism. Okay, so people living in grandiose fantasies after the abuse, the abusers live in new grandiose fantasies of wounded healers, selling spiritual, pseudo spiritual products, a market of narcissistic shared fantasies. Um, the abused and the narcissists both engage in victimhood, and the abusers say I had to do it because I am a victim. I can't function because of these and these reasons. Therefore, I have to do this, or other excuses. The victims say I can't function because I was a victim of narcissistic abuse, and you know, yeah. So these loops of grandiose self-images, the loops of roles that people compete for. So I want to be a savior now, a wounded healer, whatever, or I'm an internal victim. Um, all of these things, fantasies, hold us back from individuating. At least we have this concept to focus on, how to individuate, how to integrate the shadow, and let go of concepts that we don't need anymore. Alright, that being said, thank you for listening, and du hast eine behaarte Ruken.